Stimulus update is here. A ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, and even stimulus payments. A ton of news is here, folks. A ton of news is here about the fourth stimulus check. And I have a ton of information that I'm going to share with you about this video. About Social Security, where it's headed, and what President Biden is doing on SI, SDI, SA. First of all, inflation is record high. No doubt about this. It can mean things are actually going to be tough to make ends meet. For some people, at least. And Joe Biden's tweet at the end of 22, in which he talked about signing historic bills, well, to lower the cost for working families, well, it's just creating good jobs, good paying jobs. But before closing, he looks forward to progress in 2023. Lawmakers are debating on future relief for the people. It's been more than 2 years, after all, since the last round of checks went out, and the first round went out in 2020. For most Americans, well, their combined payments meant more than $3,000. As of right now, though, there are a few chances that Americans get to claim this extra little stimulus cash. Illinois residents could earn as much as 2 separate payments from the state in 2023. The first payout is an income tax rebate worth $550 for joint filers, and to qualify, you must be an Illinois resident with an adjusted gross income of 2021. Less than $22,000. You must get paid less than that in order to actually qualify for this money. Second payout is worth around $300, and this applies to property owners. To qualify, you must be an Illinois resident who paid property taxes in 2021 on a primary residence you owned in 2020. The New Jersey homeowners only have a little more less than 3 weeks to apply for a program that will give them $1,500 within the first half of the year. This affordable New Jersey Communities for Homeowner Renters program is still accepting applications from New Jersey homeowners and renters through January 31st, and this program will give homeowners checks worth either $1,000 or $1,500. Stay homeowners is what I'm talking about. Renters who apply for the program will have their payments issued to them no later than May of this year. Payments would not be given to recipients in the order that they received. Instead, the pace of consumer inflation is expected to have fallen slightly. So in December, from the prior month, because of a sharp drop in gas and energy, the annual rate is still remaining controllably high. But according to the Dow Jones, economists now expect a decline of 0.1% in the CPI index on a month-to-month basis. Inflation is still climbing like crazy, and according to the core CPI, which excludes energy and food, well, it's expected to be up 0.3%. In December, that's a 5.7% year-over-year increase. A lot of things are going on.
The young lady yields back and now recognize the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Pence.
Thank you all for being here. You know, Donna, one of the things you made a statement, and I'll go off what Dan said here. You know, I've noticed that carbon tax at 37 cents a gallon, it always goes into urban areas, right? You mentioned Chicago. I know that Cook County has a sales and motor fuel tax. It's higher than the counties around there, so it's more oppressive. Have you identified that?
Yes, we've seen the same thing. All of the taxes, especially in urban areas, are always higher, and they're regressive because the people that have the lowest income are paying the largest taxes.
Yeah, and then Dan, when and it was Washington that imposed 37 carbon tax, yes. 37 cents. So what happens to a location that's in Washington state but adjacent to another state?
Well, we've lived that life for a long time. Border states tend to play off of one another with taxes. And what we see, especially in sales tax and in highway use tax, is that the lesser tax state will get the majority of the business. Keep in mind, a truck can travel 1,400 miles between fill-ups, 1,400 miles. So he really only has to fill up once a day. He can choose Montana, he can choose Idaho, he can choose Washington. Believe me, with the 37-cent increase that I just had to put on my pumps, he's going to probably choose Idaho.
Yeah, so it's not a real solution to fighting environmental issues in my state or in my locality,
Absolutely
right?
agree with
So it's just a regressive tax, as Donna said. You know, you talked, Bob took a lot, you answered most of the questions you and I had talked about beforehand, but can you talk a little more about the investment, and now since you have experience in putting in charging stations and the cost and some of the more details, what will you do going forward in terms of delivering? I spent my career as a part of my career as National Director of Fuel for Circle K. So I delivered fuel where it needed to be, when it needed to be, whether it was hot.
Folks, we have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on this. An update on the status of President Biden's Build Back Better package. Schumer and Manchin are ready to use the budget reconciliation process to pass the next bill, without any GOP support, that is. This can mean guaranteed monthly stimulus checks. It has been several months since Democrats began negotiations over President Biden's proposal of social and climate spending package, which is part of the Build Back Better Act. At the center of the debate stands two centrists, which are Manchin and Sinema, who have both shared what they oppose in the Build Back Better plan, ranging from prescription prices and debt controls to monthly checks to parents. In a fresh glimmer of hope, Manchin is now saying that there is another way for President Biden's bill to pass. According to the White House officials, it's likely that Manchin and other Democrats will use the budget reconciliation process to pass the package again. However, a few major parts may be taken out. Manchin told Axios that his recent talks with Chuck Schumer about a package on climate have been encouraging to a certain extent. Manchin has previously supported some of Biden's proposals for tax hikes, including an increase to the corporate tax rate. Manchin told Axios that he'd still like to see the corporate rate rise to 25%, but initially proposed 28% instead. Manchin will settle for a domestic minimum rate of 15%, and that's a proposal that Senator Sinema previously backed. A key hurdle to Manchin's chief tax goal is Sinema. She's adamantly opposed to increasing tax rates on the rich and large corporations, all but undoing a Democratic effort to roll back the former president's tax cuts. Manchin's comments indicate that the two could strike a deal and potentially move a spending package forward, but at the expense of keeping the former president's tax cuts in place. Representative Omar said in a statement that we as a nation have the ability to make sure everyone has their basic needs met. So, if Omar's legislation passes, it would send out payments of at least $1,200 to adults and half the amount to children, individuals making over $75,000, and joint filers with incomes above $150,000. Millions of Americans could finally be receiving an even larger monthly benefit payment very soon. Top Democrats and Republicans are working together to help more Social Security beneficiaries and senior citizens financially during the crisis. I know many of you are wondering how you can boost your monthly Social Security benefit payments. Social Security retirement benefits have kept millions of seniors out of poverty. But while retirement benefits are well known and much anticipated, they are not the only kind of payments older Americans could be eligible for. It's best to understand all the different kinds of checks that you could potentially receive.
Great to have you here today, Joe. It's just going to keep going higher. What do you say? What's going to happen here?
Well, I think we're just getting started. I think we will see national average prices sometime between July and August of $5.50 on retail gasoline nationwide and $6 in diesel. I mean, I think the points I'd like to make today are Jamie Dimon was correct. There is a hurricane coming. The eye of that hurricane is energy. And there's really very little we can do about it now, except